What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. Let's talk about the only Paladin subclass contained in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the Oath of the Watchers. I'm not entirely sure what the Watchers are. There is some flavor text that sort of explains it, but I don't know, the name just kind of is weird to me. But before I dive into that, if you like what I do here and like my coverage of all of these subclasses as well as everything else I do D&D related, and you haven't subscribed to the channel, maybe consider doing so. Just me mentioning it over the past couple days has led to a serious spike in subscriber count. We broke 60,000 subscribers and we're climbing ever onward and upward. And I have a giveaway of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything going on right now. Links in the description. There's also one for a user-created top 10 magic items for this Tuesday. Check that out as well. Let's jump over here. We have the Unearthed Arcana on the right and the Tasha's Cauldron published version here on the left. And we see it says the Watchers are basically looking for, extraplanar creature threats, I guess. So first off, we'll start with our Oath spells. We had originally in the Unearthed Arcana, Alarm, Chromatic Orb, Augury, Moonbeam, Counterspell, Non-Detection, Aura of Purity, Banishment, Hold Monster, and Hallow. We lose Chromatic Orb for Detect Magic. We lose Augury for See Invisibility. Counterspell and Non-Detection is the same. Aura of Purity and Banishment is the same. And we lose Hallow for Scrying. Overall, I think, well, it would have been nice to have an attacking sort of spell for the Paladin there with Chromatic Orb. And I'm not sure why the change to Augury to See Invisibility, I guess to see these extraplanar creatures a little bit better. Scrying over Hallow, though, I do appreciate that choice. And it's a Paladin with access to not only some AoE through Moonbeam, but also Counterspell, which is fantastic. So we had two channel divinity options, as all Paladins have, at level 3. First up is Watcher's Will. As an action, choose a number of creatures within 30 feet, up to a number equal to your Charisma modifier. They have advantage on Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saving throws for a minute. It looks like that is exactly the same. Then we have Abjure the Extraplanar. Use your channel divinity, present your holy symbol, and each elemental, fey, fiend, or aberration within 30 feet of you that can hear you must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they are turned for a minute. This is basically a turn extraplanar, if you will. A turned creature must spend its turn to try and move away as far as possible. It can't willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. It can only use the dash action to try to escape, or if it can't move, it can only do the dodge action. Aberration... Oh, they just kind of changed the order. Oh, and they added Celestial in. So it was originally Aberration, Elemental, Fey, or Fiend. It is now Aberration, Celestial, Elemental, Fey, or Fiend. And other than that, it is the same. There is one thing I do want to check, because I was just thinking about this the other day. Clerics, the Arcana Cleric has something similar to this called Arcane Abjuration, and it is... Present your holy symbol, and it's Celestial, Elemental, Fey, or Fiend, and it's only one. I don't know if you guys have never noticed this. Present your holy symbol, and one Celestial, Fey, Fiend, or Elemental, Fey, or Fiend within 30 feet must make a Wisdom saving throw. If it fails, it's turned, and then the only other difference is at higher levels you can banish them back. But it's interesting to me that this Paladin, who has Abjure the Extraplanar, can do that, turn all of those, and it also gets aberrations on the list, which this one did not have, and I just thought that that was an interesting thing to think about. So let's keep moving on here. We are up to level 7 now. Aura of the Sentinel. Originally, it was when you and creatures within 10 feet of you roll initiative, you get a bonus equal to your Charisma modifier. That is now changed to proficiency bonus, and the aura increases to 30 feet at 18 while you're not incapacitated. So it's going to start off, probably, what is that? Starts off at a 3, right? Level 5, your proficiency bonus goes up to a 3. So eventually, overall, it will probably give you a larger bonus to initiative in the end. This is another one where we see the change from modifier to proficiency bonus, which does still bug me that there's not consistency between Tasha's Cauldron, where some classes and some features use the modifier associated with it and others use proficiency bonus. It seems that a large majority, what I would say, personal opinion here, but subclasses that needed work or help or adjustments for balance purposes, the ones that needed that are the ones that got changed to proficiency bonus. And if they thought it was received well or handled well balance-wise from the start, it just gets to keep the modifier because that's what it had and it was treated well. So I'm wondering how the decision was made one way or another to switch to proficiency bonus or keep it modifier. So the difference being, right, depending if you roll stats or however it goes, you might have higher than a +3 bonus here if you were using the Unearthed Arcana version at level 7. Now it's proficiency bonus. It'll eventually likely, again, cap out higher at 6, but that's all the way at level 17. Then we had Vigilant Rebuke at level 15. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw against a spell, you can use your reaction to deal 2d8 plus charisma modifier force damage to the spellcaster. It is now when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you succeeds on an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw, you can use your reaction to deal 2d8. It was a 2d8 plus your charisma modifier force damage to the creature that forced the saving throw. So originally it was a saving throw against a spell, which covers a lot of things. Now it's been changed to intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw. And I think that that's ultimately more thematic, because if we're looking at extraplanar creatures, things like aberrations and fays and fiends, they have a lot of abilities that aren't spells. Like a psionic blast or an eye ray or a charm effect. Those are usually intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saves. Some of them, not obviously. Some of the rays are dexterity or constitution, but a lot of those are sort of mind affecting abilities, and they're not covered under a spell. So this actually gives you more use if you're dealing with the things you're supposed to be fighting as a Watcher's Paladin. It's also nice because you are getting now a consistent reactionary economy, if you will, for a Paladin. Paladins typically, other than attacks of opportunity, don't get much access to things that use reaction. Now, there may be certain subclasses that have a reactionary-based spell. Obviously, we have Counterspell on this class, but most don't have access to things that let you do your reaction, and this doesn't expend a spell slot. This is just a thing you can do every turn. And then lastly, we have our sort of Paladin transformation, our level 20 ability here. As a bonus action, you can gain the following benefits for a minute: True Sight out to 120 feet, advantage on attack rolls against elementals, fey, fiends, and aberrations. When you hit a creature and deal damage to it, you can force it to make a charisma save. On a fail, it's banished to its native plane of existence if it's not currently there, and then on success, it can't be banished for 24 hours. Once you use this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. It is still a bonus action. It is still 1 minute. It is still True Sight out to 120 feet. We have added in Celestials to the advantage, so advantage on attack rolls against aberrations, Celestials, elementals, fey, and fiends. And let's see, when you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal damage, you must force them to make a charisma save against your spell save DC. On a failure, they're magically banished to their native plane of existence. So if they're on their native plane of existence, nothing happens to them. And they added a little caveat here. Once you use this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest unless you expend a 5th level spell slot to use it again. Reminder, even at level 20, I think a Paladin only has access to 2 5th level spell slots, so they're not going to be in super high use. You won't have a ton of them unless you multiclass. Actually, you can't multiclass. What are we talking about? This is for a level 20 ability. So you will only typically have 2 5th level spell slots. I think there's ways you could deal with magic items or supernatural charms or things. But, I like that. I think that should be kind of errata to give all Paladins that ability, that you can use your level 20 transformation thing once per long rest unless you expend a 5th level spell slot to use it again. I think that makes sense. I like that. Not that necessarily Paladins need a buff, but if this one gets it, why don't the others? I realize that doesn't really fly. It kind of flies in the face of WotC's, or at least what was their sort of design philosophy was, yeah, we'll update things going forward. We're not going to be hampered by decisions we made in the past, but we're going to choose to actively not go back and update things. The other thing is, I could be wrong because they do usually wait to have official errata added until the next printing of a book. For example, we know in this book, the change to the damage type for Spores Druid, one of the, I think the extra damage you could do with a melee attack was poison damage. It has been changed to necrotic damage in this book, but Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica has not been errated yet to make that change, and it won't be errated to make that change until we get close to a release or to a new printing cycle of Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. So whatever printing cycle it's on, say 2, right, or it's the second printing of the book, until all the second prints are gone and they're going to start printing a third book, we won't get the errata that makes that fundamental change to that damage until that point. Seems kind of silly to me to not release the errata if you already know there's a change happening. Why not release the digital format for it too, and then people will have to wait? Unless that's just to lessen the confusion of, hey, I just bought this book, but online it says it's different, which is the one, whereas if you wait and release it as the new copy start hitting the wild, they match up. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we're going to move to everybody's favorite class next, the Ranger. And I'll be honest, with the alternative class features, pretty much all of them turned on, Ranger seems better than it was for sure. And I actually kind of like at least one of these two Ranger subclasses. Like, they're interesting. I like what they've done with them, and I think we could talk about it. I think it'll be fun. We're going to anyway. So, and for those of you who've been asking and you haven't figured it out yet, yes, if you're wondering when your favorite subclass that's new to this book is going to come out, if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm going through subclasses in alphabetical order. If you're waiting for a Warlock, it's going to be a bit, but it's coming. So, stay tuned, and I will see you all next time.